set that on to get it up higher.
We've got a stand. We've got a stand in there.
It's right now.
Gets abused all the time. Got to get right down. Test 1 2. Test. Test 1 2. Yeah. I'll get.
At the very, when you were this far away, I
Test 1 2. Test. Here. Bill Morgan did it. Test 1 2.
Can you hear me in the back? Test, test. So.
Test 1. Test 1 2. Test. Test 1 2. Stand that one's good there. All right.
Corinthians chapter. We'll just do the whole book. Everybody here? I'm missing a million people. Did you get everybody covered? And no, a bunch of. Good. Modern problem. What I call the chapter. We're going through and doing a survey. Modern problems, and as we think, okay, it's a church. There's no. Everybody in church is good. Not that way, right? J. Locke. With are the same folks, right? And you see that church, everybody's supposed to dress up, everybody's supposed to be pretty, everybody's supposed to behave every Sunday and every Wednesday. And it's like that until you start talking to people and getting to know people, because every single person struggles. And every single person has life. And in life, something is always going on, right? All right, the book of 1 Corinthians was written from the city of Ephesus. Series of questions where people were having trouble with us. Last week, looking at chapter 1, verse 9. Talked about a lot of last week, different of the book. What fast and movable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. Hardeman and how much he likes. I think it is. Do all things. Stuff. Ha. Okay. First, all speak the same thing. In the church there. And how that led to what if you have it. If not, you can look in the back of your Bible or you can Google it, however you. Area that's only about 2 miles. In shipping, when they were bringing supplies to Rome, because of that. You could drop off your and then they would put it back on a ship and take it directly to Rome. It's kind of our UP very famous and very wealthy because of its location, because immorality. New York, and because of the sailors and because of international shipping, which is need to be made by pagan activity. You have a lot of sexual. So we oftentimes, when we enter Corinthian, by the community class, so maybe we can talk for a little bit. What Marshall County? Are we shaped by culture here? Okay. And what way with Tater Day? Before I moved here from where I was congregation, a church, African American, black elder. That was a big deal for them. Jackson is 90. Church was 80% or 95% when we started Caucasian. Everybody lived outside of by our we are shaped by the folks who are around and related and things such as that. And over the past few weeks, hanging out with Bill in the church, people related and where they were from, those towns you were talking about. Some of somebody else. By the world around us. Well, these maybe not so much by our immediate culture. We don't get out much, but man, we watch a lot of television. And so you're shaped by what you see and what around. All right. Let's go ahead and look in chapter 1. You see there were divisions here, divisions there, divisions everywhere. Some people say, I'm of Cephas. That is the Hebrew name for Peter. Other people say, well, I'm of or Cephas, the Hebrew name there, probably Jewish Christians. People who came in and said, yes, I'm a Christian, but I have a Jewish heritage. And so they would hold themselves up and say, there's a church, but there's also the Jewish church, which is here. And in my view, we're a little the dietary laws. We still follow the Sabbath. So we're better than those folks. From Alexandria, he was, and Apollos was very smart folks would belong to, the sophisticated. And they'd say, man, And then you got Paul. Who skirts of society, they'd say, you're dividing yourselves among these people, and you got to realize, and that's Jesus. You need to belong to. Last week, oftentimes will divide themselves. Sometimes we'll have a white-collar congregation and cross down. Sometimes we have congregations which are older, and we'll have another congregation. We just typically tend to do that. And a lot of times, activities, you can't have Christian, but I also have this churches. There's one person who paid for your soul. The church. Christians and Christians only. Well, Paul comes in as you look in chapter 2. He says, brethren, I did not come in with sophistry, with great wisdom. I did not come in with great eloquence. I came in with one thing. And we think, yeah, okay, that's true. Could Paul have come in? He is from Tarsus, the 5th largest city in the world at that time. He studied at the feet of who in Jerusalem? An Ivy League school. Very educated, grew up very wealthy. Nobody have great ability. As 17, one of my favorite sermons is Acts 17. Christianity, and it stands against those. Fight against. Bring it. But he brings this point. He says, you knowing only. Was he drawing disciples after himself? He wanted people to have their faith in who? Christ. Okay? Sometimes in the church today, when people or of people preacher or to a congregation, have a loyalty to a certain person, to a personality, or to a way that's brought across. Schools of preaching. Yeah, for sure. Travis and I go back all. And he'll just kind of giggle back. I don't know what he says under his breath. I'm too deaf. That's probably good, right? All right, we'll go back and forth. Preaching, which will go back and forth. You down. Oh boy, we're not. Try to look perfect, but not a single one. When you put your faith in a person, you're going. A preacher's not going to be a preacher at a congregation forever. He's going to die. Your faith in God. And that's what Paul is bringing across or bringing out there in chapter 2. to have that faith in God, which is there. Now, as he goes here in chapter 3, verse 6, because what he does is he's talking about how there shouldn't be divisions in the church, and he's talking about how to judge a minister. And he says, the increase. It's pretty interesting. Preacher, he liked certain situations. He did not like going to a place where another church was already established. He did territory, go into the church and get it growing. And once it got, it looked like Apollos was a little bit different. Apollos liked to what Paul is different role. God working through these people to accomplish. Because where, yeah, you know, Paul at a different time, and so they're looking at Paul. If it grows, give glory to God. Christ. Now that go through, and as they work, and yet they should not. Oh boy. Is married to his father's wife. Now, say, okay, we're fourth cousins by this and this and this and this, and we'll start connecting stuff, right? And you're like, how in the world did that happen? We got to talking and realized we're from the same city. I thought, well, welcome. Here and married to his father's wife. Now, was his father dead? Was he still married to the father? Did not go on. But it was answer again. Remember, even though we're in auditorium class, we can talk. Obvious public sin that somebody's committing. Why else? They don't, you know, it's a lot easier just to come to church. A lot easier just pretend. The other day, he's got a congregation. Do you confront sin? We sometimes ignore sin. Sometimes that person gives a lot of money. We could go on and on. To confront sin. Sometimes Christianity, we want to make it love and grace and mercy, and it is. And so if it's hard, play. If go there. And so we need to do what? Sometimes, with kids or whatever, a wound of some sort is going to hurt. At least the first reason why you it actually worked. This is saving a person's soul that we church. Man, you see what happened to that? Start behaving a little better. I'm doing those consequences that come. Do it. In fact, as Paul says, glorying. Paul says you can't. Different than the world. Doesn't make sense. The discipline there. Chapter 6, lawsuits against believers. Oh my goodness. Okay. Greek culture coming into the church again. They sued everybody for everything. Very eloquent, like in Acts 17 in Athens. At the Mars Hill, the Areopagus. Back then, they didn't care what you said. They cared how you said. So you don't need to sue other people. You don't need what's an instance? Yeah.
I had to think about it, man, and I thought, yes, I have been cleaned out.
It'd be like the Jews there. I'm going to observe the Passover on that one. But it's not. As much as you can. Tried to shoot for that. All right, chapter 7. Oh man, chapter 7 is fun. Wrote a book on this, Not Under Bondage, Pauline Privilege. At one time, I had chapter 7 memorized, my master's thesis. Boy. And I never, a long time, okay? Which is not under bondage. They focus on words there, remain in the state. There's a lot of different answers, a lot of different things. Their idea of divorce is very. Here's what Paul. This time, people belong to. Chapter 6. Obeyed the gospel, right? Steph. his God would become all the slaves' gods as well. And it'd become the wife and the children and everybody else. You would follow whoever was the top. Now you interpret chapter 7, 4 to 6. And as a spouse and my husband, or is my commitment? Now, how would we answer that? Is your commitment to your spouse greater, or is your commitment to God greater? Is greater. God comes first in every instance. Now, if you can remain married to someone who leaves by them, perhaps you can. Spouse leaves the church, or when your spouse is not a Christian, parallel verse passage would be 1 Peter chapter 3, verses 1 through 7. Your spouse can be converted, and your spouse can come closer to God. Live in every single way in which you can put them first. But your first, absolute, highest priority God. All right, we spent 7 chapters ago, 8 chapters ago. Principle. Oh my. Parallel passage would be Romans. They eat it. On the discount rack there at the supermarket, Walmart. They have Walmart? Walmart. They would have on their discount rack this meat. Well, Christians would come across and say, hey, this is pretty awesome, cheap meat. Offer it to an idol, that's okay. An idol's nothing more than a rock or a piece of metal. Christians say it doesn't matter because that idol. Problem. The easiest way to interpret this. To create a church fuss. Spoke last year at a VBS. The congregation there said, listen, we use and I like this version or that version better, and started a big argument. It's because I have enough of a speech impediment already. Okay? As a Christian trying to spread the gospel, use a King James, right? Because don't create a church fuss when you don't have to create a church fuss. I think that's something older folks, some other 6 o'clock. They would love it, right? Now, young no, right? They would like it later, probably even than 9 o'clock. And so, creating church fusses, try to Keep your focus where it needs to be kept. That's really what it talks about. In order to manna, tabernacle, they got all these except for Joshua and Caleb. Why'd they die? They disobeyed the Lord. You can see God every day, they still die. Applies to you. Because of enough just to be saved. So in verse 14, we see the smallest sin of the flee immorality. That joke? And this group. Well, let's do head coverings real quick. We got. All right. The story of a lady is her hair, right? Bald would be good, though. You go right back again to culture. Okay, remember the majority of Corinth is pagan. Of homosexuality and a lot of sexual immorality which is going on. Society. Those temples would be women. Worship in those temples would be and both heterosexual and homosexual. Now in Corinth, in that Greek or a priestess of these places, a lot of these veils. And so what church, people would hear about free to so there's a lot of issues there. So Paul churches, the culture in these places around here is that women need to look modern day because a lot of our ladies have short hair. But in our culture, when you see a lady with short hair, usually not, right? Usually not. Men need to look like men, women need to look like women, and whatever, don't let it, whatever, in such a way where when people they're going home, they're talking about the not what so sister or dress in such a way that does not bring to what you say. Any comment on that one? My socks. Yes. Yeah. Now, you argue sometimes. I preached in churches where women wore veils. They wore the little dollies. You were reading scripture, and anytime that you were women on, and they were just doing this. Okay? Now, it talks. If you want to practice on the head, it has to be a full covering. Follow that. As long as you don't cause a commotion in supper. Sure, wait.
Seems to me like we have
Okay, that's a good principle.
In regard in our school system, the of the church a little bit. Years ago.
Right.
So
Right.
we have
The Benton Church of Christ, 25, leading a prayer. It's almost the other way. Wasting time, I don't really. The New Testament is not talking about low-cut dresses and high hemlines. Every time you read about modesty in the New Testament, and so that's something kind of right. Christian submissive, sure that the a meal, and this is becoming Texas. To eat, people who were not wealthy were starving, and Paul says instead, Lord's Supper being a brings division into the church. He says, he's not talking about a personal. What you have here is people once again saying, I'm better than everybody else. Some people spoke with tongues, and tongues was the talent of miracles, of healing. And as Paul goes through, he says that doesn't all a part of the body. We all maybe more of the body. Gift, the end of chapter 12. Though gong these three gifts. And 14 Christians. And so, but the application is the same. I'm a member just like you. I struggle. Obeyed the gospel last. Is the center point of Christianity, because if Christ is not risen, we are all to be pitied, right? That's why you stand and be in that resurrection. Giving and for being here. Lord willing, next week we'll come and we'll work on that book. 1